On the other end of the line, my mother's voice was filled with excitement. Trish, I'm so glad you finally agreed. The engagement with Multimum Enterprises heir was arranged when you were little. We were supposed to introduce you to him a year ago, but you kept resisting for those two friends of yours. Although their families have some wealth, they can't even compare to Multimum Enterprise. Have you really thought this through? I nodded while holding the phone. I've thought it over. I'll follow your lead in this matter. My mother laughed. Don't worry. I'll make sure you have a grand wedding. Just as I hung up, Zeke Benson and Hendrick P. walked into the room with fruits. Trish, whose wedding were you talking about? I looked at them, expressionless. My wedding? Why? Zeke snorted. Oh Trish, you sure know how to joke around. Hendrick pulled a mango and handed it to me. Are you jealous of Vivian or something? We just think of her like a sister. Don't overthink it. Zeke joined in. Yeah, you were the one who introduced Vivian to us. Isn't it a bit petty to be jealous of her now? I stayed silent for a moment, then slapped the mango out of Hendrick's hand. Before I could say anything, Hendrick got upset. Trish, what's your deal? You don't even want the kindness we're offering? Did I spoil you too much? Zeke picked up the mango, peeled it, and was about to force it into my mouth. Take it. I had just recovered from an allergic shock, and my body was still weak. I couldn't muster the strength to stop him, and before I knew it, the mango was inches from my mouth. In a panic, I bit Zeke's hand. Zeke yelped, throwing the mango across the room. Are you crazy? Why did you bite me? I looked at them, a bit amused. I'm allergic to mangoes. Have you guys forgotten? I remembered back in school when Zeke and Hendrick first found out about my mango allergy. They were so protective, each of them taking turns cooking for me just to make sure I wouldn't have an allergic reaction. But now, just 6 months after Vivian Byrd appeared, they had completely forgotten. Zeke and Hendrick exchanged an awkward glance. Of course we haven't. We were just joking around. Trish, why can't you take a joke? If it were Vivian, she wouldn't be mad at us. Can't you be a little more magnanimous like Vivian? Alright, stop being jealous of her. There are other fruits. Let me get you something else you like. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. They really thought I was competing with Vivian for their attention, not realizing that I had already given up on both of them. You guys should go. I need some rest. I pressed the nurse's call button. Zeke flipped through my medical chart, looking confused. Trish, you just have low blood sugar. There's no need to fake an allergic shock to get our attention. Hendrick glanced at the chart as well. Yeah, Trish, you're allergic to mangoes, but you didn't eat any yesterday. I pulled the covers over my head, ignoring them. They had no idea Vivian had tricked me into drinking half a cup of mango juice yesterday, which almost killed me. Even if they knew, they wouldn't believe it. To them, Vivian was perfect in every way. 2 weeks later, it was time for my engagement party with Edmund Hardy. Edmund is the sole heir to Multimum Enterprise. In the brief time we'd spent together over these past 2 weeks, I realized he wasn't as cold and distant as the rumors had suggested. Instead, he was humble, gentle, and genuinely attentive to me. I didn't want an extravagant event for the engagement, and Edmund respected my wishes. So we decided to keep it simple and host it at our family's villa. Even though it was a modest affair, my parents still invited some of the city's most prominent figures. After all, this is the engagement of our only daughter, and the heir to Multimum Enterprise. We need to have the proper display, or people will think I don't value this son-in-law. I'm so happy you and Edmund are getting together. Honestly, Edmund's much more presentable than those two fellas. Once you two marry, the company will be yours to manage, and your father and I will be waiting for grandchildren. After saying this, my mother rushed off to greet the guests. I stared at the decorations around the house, lost in thought. Before Vivian came into the picture, I was the center of attention to Zeke and Hendrick. On every holiday, big or small, they would never miss a chance to be there. No matter how expensive an item I wanted, they would buy it just to see me smile. We'd even talked about marriage before. At that time, Zeke and Hendrick fought over who I would end up with. Zeke had said boldly, "Trish is going to marry me." Hendrick wasn't intimidated either. "You're wrong. Trish is destined to be my wife." They were certain they would throw me the most extravagant engagement and wedding, making me the envy of everyone. Back then, I was truly conflicted about whether I preferred Zeke or Hendrick. But there was never a clear answer in my heart. Now fortunately there was no need to choose. Vivian was my junior, born into a poor family. I had pitied her for having come from a small town and working hard to get into university. During the autumn recruitment, I had offered her a job as my assistant at the company. Knowing she didn't have many friends locally, I introduced her to Zeke and Hendrick, hoping she'd be happy to have some companionship. What I didn't expect was that Vivian's intentions weren't just to make friends. She wanted to replace me. Ever since she entered this small circle, Zeke and Hendrick had been determined to win her favor. For Vivian's last birthday, Zeke and Hendrick spent an extravagant amount of money to buy fireworks to celebrate, even traveling to Uganland to ask a retired artisan to make her a pair of ruby earrings. When my birthday came around, neither of them even wished me a simple happy birthday. Looking back, the signs had been there from the beginning. I changed into my dress and walked to the villa's entrance to join my mother in greeting the guests. The people attending the engagement party were all local dignitaries. Once they learned that our family was about to form an alliance with Multimum Enterprise, they were eager to butter us up, each gift they brought seeming more expensive than the last. After all, who wouldn't want to climb aboard the Multimum Enterprise ship? Of course, there were also those who didn't like me, gossiping behind my back. Trish is suddenly getting engaged to the heir of Multimum Enterprise. Could it be a shotgun wedding? Wasn't she always hanging around with Zeke and Hendrick? How did she change so quickly? With her looks and background, it's a miracle that Edmund even noticed her. My daughter's prettier than she is. I bet Edmund's just playing around with her. They'll probably be divorced within a few months. Huh. Let the Chambers enjoy themselves today. They'll be humiliated soon enough. My cousin Peyton Hilburn, who had grown up with me, couldn't stand it and was about to rush over to confront them, but I stopped her. Let it go. A clean conscience has nothing to fear. Let them talk. It turned out that those years I had spent tangled up with Zeke and Hendrick were seen as scandalous in the eyes of others. I could only blame myself. After escorting the guests to the banquet hall, Peyton and I were heading to my bedroom to change into my second dress. Suddenly, I heard the sound of the back door's keypad lock being disengaged. I had only shared the code with two people, Zeke and Hendrick. One winter I had caught a terrible cold and wasn't recovering. Zeke and Hendrick had been frantic but didn't want to visit directly. So they tried sneaking into my house by climbing over the wall, nearly getting caught by the police. That was when I decided to give them the backdoor code. But this time there was someone else with them. A smiling, demure Vivian. Trish. Vivian greeted me, her smile sweet and innocent. She pulled a damaged diamond necklace out of her pocket, with a few stones missing. Trish, this diamond necklace was a gift for you, she said, her voice full of fake sorrow. But I'm so clumsy that I accidentally broke it. Still wearable though. Hope you don't mind. Vivian looked up at me with wide, pleading eyes. I stared at Vivian, then glanced at the two men standing behind her, solid and unmoving, but said nothing. Peyton, however, couldn't stay quiet. What's this? You're giving Trish a broken necklace. Vivian's eyes immediately reddened as she clutched the necklace tightly. I'm sorry, Trish. It's my fault. Please don't be upset and stress yourself out. I'll make it right. I'll pay for the necklace. Please don't be angry with me. He smiled daher. Sure. I'll hold you to it. A diamond necklace like that could easily be worth hundreds of thousands. How could Vivian, who came from a poor mountain village, ever afford to replace it? Vivian's expression began to falter, and I could see panic flicker in Zeke and Hendrick's eyes. All right. Trish, stop making Vivian feel bad, Zeke said, his tone urgent. We bought the necklace. She doesn't need to pay for anything. Vivian's already upset, and you're pushing her like this, Hendrick added angrily. Trish, what happened to you? Why are you treating Vivian this way? They both seemed so flustered, as if I were bullying Vivian. Vivian looked around at everyone, lowering her head as she softly sniffled. It's okay, Zeke Hendrick. Don't be mad at Trish. I deserved that. It's all my fault. I'll do anything I can to make up for the necklace. Zeke pulled her into an embrace, looking at her with concern. Stop saying foolish things, Vivian. You don't need to pay for it. He shot me a glare as if I were the one in the wrong. Hendrick, equally furious, gave me an icy look. Trish, why do you keep making things hard for Vivian? Are you really that bothered by how we treat her? I almost laughed, but the bitter frustration was enough to make me want to scream. I told you both before, I'm getting married. Please stop causing a scene at my engagement party.